Alright everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I'm Sean, the Uneducated Gamer, and welcome to episode 2 of our Off Their Perch challenge with FC United. Sorry for the delay in between episodes. Things kind of happened in the real world, mainly being the release of Fallout 4, and that's distracted me for like the last 2 or 3 days. I've barely done any of the missions or anything. I've just been trying to build my bloody settlement, but that's neither here nor there, and I don't want to date the video, so maybe I'll edit that out. We'll see. If it's in there, welcome. You're part of the club. You know the secret. But this episode, we're going to sit down and go through our tactics. We're also going to go through our transfers, and then a bit of a squad review, and then a review of our pre-season as well. So there's quite a bit to get through. Might as well start at the start and rip off the band-aid and go through our tactics for this series. So initially, I wanted to play more of a counter-attacking style because I usually stay pretty stubbornly with an attacking mentality. However, during our pre-season, we had a couple of results that probably didn't go the way that we wanted to, so you can't really go and play counter-attacking style against teams that aren't looking to retain the ball. Like, you just run into other teams that are playing very direct and trying to counter as well. So I don't think it was going to work, but this was the initial formation I was going to use. I nicknamed it the finger because I think it looks like someone giving you the finger. It's a 4-4-1-1. I've actually seen other YouTube videos that people are doing with their FC United series, and it was very similar to one that already exists out there with another Australian YouTube person. So I was like, nah, screw it, I'll change it. But the idea was that we would just play 2 very low banks of 4 behind the ball, and then we'd break in wide positions and the 2 up front as well. The shadow striker, which I've never really used before, moving into holes in between the midfield and defence for the other team, and the advanced forward pushing up, trying to get that defensive line to drop as deep as possible. So you're more than welcome to go and use this one if you want to give it a go. I might. We'll have to wait and see how we go throughout the course of the season. Maybe we'll set it up as like an away formation or a big game formation or something like that. So I've left it in there so that they're at least working on it and familiar with it if we need to. But maybe we go on an FA Cup run and play like a big League 2 side or something and we have to counter-attack against them. But we'll see how that goes. So this one's kind of been thrown on the back burner for a little bit, but that's the finger. And this is the one we're going to go with. We're going to play with an attacking 4-3-3. It's very similar to one that I've used before. I did use a similar variation of this on my Australian Dynasty series, if you've gone back and watched that one. However, I've gone through and I've rebuilt it again from scratch for the FM2016 update. I've changed it up a little bit as well to try and reflect more of the ability of the conference players, because let's be honest, it's not as good a level as the A-League is, so you kind of need to adjust what you're doing because of that. But it's a 4-3-3. We're going to be playing with like an anchor man in midfield and wingers pushing very high up the pitch. An attacking mentality. I think if you're going to play lower league management, you're going to concede. Like, there's nothing you can do to really avoid that. You're not going to go through the season only conceding 10 goals. You're more than likely going to concede upwards of 30. So I'm going with an attacking mentality. So if we're going to lose games, we're at least going to lose them like 4-3 or something like that. We'll be entertaining. And the more goals we can get, the higher up the table we're going to finish. So we're going with a fluid team shape, and the team instructions are as follows. It's a new interface here for team instructions and stuff in Football Manager 2016. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder to navigate, but I think that's just because I haven't got used to it yet. So playing with a lower tempo, we're going to be much slower and look to retain possession. We've got playing 3 in midfield, so it should be easy to knock the ball around in central areas if need be, though we are going to be looking to get it into the wide positions in the final third. So a lower tempo, we're really going to time waste. We're going to play with a tremendous amount of width. We're going to play with a deeper defensive line. We're not going to use an offside trap because that's basically suicide. A ton of the teams that we come up against are going to be very direct. Like, as soon as they get the ball, they're going to punt it long. So I want to play with a deeper line in the hope that they will sit back, maybe even off the strikers, and hopefully we'll be able to deal with those balls over the top pretty consistently. Closing down is much more. We're going to play a high pressing game, but just in midfield. I only want the 3 midfielders closing down. Our defenders, they all have a stand-off individual instruction, but we'll go through that further in a minute. I want everyone to stay on feet. I don't really want anyone flying into crunching tackles or anything like that. We will pick up stupid red cards throughout the course of the season. It's unavoidable. Just because the tackling stat isn't that low, someone will dive in and get a second yellow at some point. So it's going to happen, but if we can avoid it as long as possible by telling them to stay on feet, we'll do that. We're going to look to exploit the left and right flanks. We're going to be looking to move it out there once we get into the final third. You can see here, player defense. I've actually switched that one off. We are looking to, but I've set that up through more individual instructions than an overall team mentality. Sometimes you've got to get rid of it. So, you know, it happens. But if we do punt it long, we're going to clear it over to the flanks, and hopefully the wingers are staying up in that respect. Passing directness is mixed. That's purely because some people have shorter passing instructions, like the midfield 3, and others have permission to be a little bit more direct. Our creative freedom is to be more disciplined. I don't really want anyone operating outside of the roles that they've been given in the team. Like, if you're a fullback, set to support, just do that. Don't try and do anything ridiculous and skip past 4 defenders and shoot from 35 yards. Just do your job and I'll continue to pick you. In the final third, you can see here we're looking for the overlap. So hopefully we'll get it out to the wingers early. Our central midfielders will just act as distributors. If there's no cross on for the wingers, they can just hold it up, come back in the middle and look for the overlap of the fullback who will surely be getting forward to support. And we're also going to try and work the ball into the box. I'd like to get crosses in rather than having shots out here from distance, which if you watched our Australian Dynasty series was a massive problem we had with our strikers, both Eli Babal, Adam Taggart and Corey Gamero that we used, all had shots from just massive distances out here, and I don't really know why. They were never told to, so we're going to try and work the ball into the box and hopefully we can find the finishes. We've got some good strikers available to us, so finishing hopefully won't be too big of a problem. Our dribbling, we're okay to run at the defence. I don't mind if a winger tries to beat his fullback, as long as he doesn't lose it too high up the pitch. And freedom of movement is stick to positions. I don't really want anyone roaming outside of the roles they've been given. It's a pretty dynamic shape in itself, so they shouldn't have to be moving out of position to try and pick up the ball or anything like that. But that's the instructions. It's 14. It's probably a couple more than I'd like to use at a lower league management level. I think maybe 10 or 12 is probably the most that you should have for lower league management. I could probably take out the clear ball to flanks bit and get it down to 12, but screw it, I'm going to leave it in there. I'll have faith in the coaching ability and the ability of the playing group. But individual instructions, let's have a look. So we're going to go with the goalkeeper with the defend instruction, and only 4 instructions for them. I've tried to minimise it because they've changed the way that it works in Football Manager 2016. It's always been this way, but now they actually show you them, that there are individual instructions associated with different roles in a team. So he set fewer risky passes, distribute to fullbacks, take short kicks and distribute quickly. We're going to try and play out through our fullbacks, not the central defenders. I don't really want them playing through the middle. But if a fullback gets the ball here in these sort of areas, you'd think they've got a ball in square. If there's a man open in the middle, there's 3 options there. And then they've also got a ball up the line to a winger if need be. The very last resort should be them hacking it long towards the advance forward. So we should be able to play pretty comfortably out from our fullbacks. And the quicker the goalkeeper can get it to them, then the better, So they're actually the same on both sides. You can see here they are set to shoot less often, fewer risky passes, stay wider, run wide with ball and cross from deep. So the shoot less often one is just so that they're not really bombing on into central areas. If they're going to do an overlapping run, don't make it into the box, make it into the byline and try and get a cross in. Fewer risky passes is just so they play it smart out from the back as that first transition option. Stay wider is so that they stay as wide as possible. They don't need to tuck in or anything like that. We've got enough central midfielders that we should never be that short in midfield that they need to tuck in and create a hole for a centre-back to get dragged into. And run wide with ball is just so that they can carry it out of defence if they have the time. But given it's a fewer risky passes, it's a safety first mentality, which is good. And cross from deep comes automatically attached for both sides. So both the right and left fullback are exactly the same. Our central defensive partnership is virtually the same. They are both going to have the same roles as well. You can see here, central defender set to defend. Now, usually I'd use a limited defender at a lower league level, but I actually kind of have faith in 2 that we already have here at the club. And it's not terrible depth as far as the central defensive positions go. So I'm going to have faith in them, and they're going to stick with the 4 that are already set to those roles. And I'm also setting them to ease off tackles and close down much less. I mentioned when going through the team instructions that our central midfield will be very high pressing, as will the wingers. However, the central defensive partnership, you think with the fullbacks moving up to support, we could get into situations where it's just these 2 back here. So all I want them doing is dropping as low as possible, making it hard for that ball over the top to come. And if it does come, then hopefully the keeper should come and get it relatively quickly. So those 2 are just going to be anchors, just defensive players, not really doing too much. They might come up for corners depending on how we go with that. But ease off tackles, close down much less, shoot less often, dribble less, fewer risky passes and hold position are their instructions. Now, in midfield is where it's going to get a little bit trickier. We're actually going to use an anchor man for this tactic. And you can see here that one actually comes with its own instructions that are virtually the same as a central defender. So that anchor man is just going to shoot less often, dribble less, fewer risky passes and hold position. Just going to be a distributor. I only want them passing it shorter really into the 2 other midfielders who we'll go through in a second. But they're also set to tackle harder and close down much more. We want to have that midfield pressing up the pitch as high as possible to kind of close down that ball over the top before it happens. It may end up creating a bit of an issue with yellow cards, so we'll just keep an eye on that as the season goes on. If we're having way too many yellows or way too many red cards and things, then I will obviously change it. But a high press from the midfield 3 would be good, and I think we have some pretty good quality in the centre of the park, so hopefully it should work out for us there. Something about the anchorman role, whenever you play someone defensively in like an anchorman role or a defensive midfielder role, they just don't seem to accrue any decent match ratings. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's got something to do with like the engine or something. However, it determines a match rating. The stuff that an anchorman does isn't really covered within that. So they're going to consistently sit around like a 6.3 match rating. And that's okay. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm only really going to take them off if there's yellow card concerns. Just because like I've had some of the best players available to me at the club sit in the anchorman role and only be able to get 6.2s each week. And that's like at an A-League level. So it could be even worse in lower league management. But I don't know, maybe this is the first time I've actually played it in the full version of the game, which I've kind of been waiting for. So maybe they've updated it, I don't really know. Ahead of them, we're going to play 2 advanced playmakers. Now, I was a bit hesitant to do this, but it worked really well in our Melbourne City series. I wasn't sure how having 2 advanced playmakers next to each other would go. And we initially started with them both as advanced playmakers with the support instruction. As the season wore on, they kept kind of moving into the same areas to pick it up as they got used to the role. So I've switched one of them to attack and one to support. One of the big reasons I also changed from the 4-4-2 that we were going to use is because we have 2 really good central midfielders, but they were both advanced playmakers and I couldn't fit them both into the team. By adopting this 4-3-3, we can get both players out there on the pitch at the same time. I'll go through who they are later, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what kind of partnership they can come up with this year. So the instructions for that one are dribble less, tackle harder, close down more, shoot less often, and more risky passes. That's just standard for an advanced playmaker. Dribble less, tackle harder, and close down much more part of our high pressing game. Dribble less is because I don't really want them dribbling in central positions. Not in the support function anyway. The attack function, they have a little bit more license to dribble if they see a pocket of space that they can burst into. Hopefully it drags a centre back across or a full back inside and it creates a passing angle where they have to go back to the advanced playmaker and he plays the pass, or it gives a winger a run in behind. That's the idea. They can burst into this hole here rather than having an advanced forward come deep. So they are also set to tackle harder, more direct, close down much more, shoot less often, dribble more, and more risky passes. So quite a few instructions for the midfield 3 here, but they're all set to close down the ball as high as they can. We'll see how we go with the whole tackle harder and close down more thing. It may be something that we need to look to change, but like that's fine. It's a risk I'm taking at the moment. Our wingers are going to be the creative hub of the side, as they so often are when you play a 4-3-3. You can see here, wing with the attack instruction already has a ton of instructions here. They are dribble more, run wide with ball, cross more often, cross from byline, get further forward and stay wider. They're all stuff that I would ask them to do anyway, so that's absolutely fine with me. I have set them to shoot less often. That's because I don't want them cutting in and trying to get shots on their wrong feet. We're going to play with balanced wingers, and what by that I mean we're going to play with left-footed players on the left-hand side, right-footed players on the right. So if they're going to cut in and shoot, they don't really have the technical ability at this level to get consistent shots on target. So we're going to look to them to get around the outside of their fullbacks, get to the byline and knock balls back into the middle. The idea being the advanced forward will run in and be in the central position, and the winger, if need be, will be backstick on the other side. So because of that, it's shoot less often, cross aim centre and close down much less. They both have permission to kind of not be lazy, but just worry about the fullback. You don't have to drop too far into midfield, but at least be the outlet for the fullbacks once we move up the pitch. And up top, the one who's carrying the burden of finishing all the chances, hopefully, is our advanced forward. I've set them to shoot less often. That's not so they don't take shots in the box. They will absolutely hit it first time if they need to inside the 18-yard box. However, what I don't want is them picking up, like say we have a goal kick or something. King can't go short, so he goes long. He finds our advanced forward like sitting in the hole here, and he turns or manages to get a turn. Their defensive line drops off, and he takes a shot from 35 yards. It's just a waste of the ball. And frankly, like we're never going to score from any 35-yard shot that we take. I've had better strikers that weren't able to do it. So they're set to shoot less often for that reason, so that they're always looking, particularly in the build-up, to try and bring other players into the game, even though they are set to an advanced forward and not like a target man or a shadow striker or whatever it is. They have permission to do more risky passes though. They can look for chip balls over the top if they think they can get them done. They're also set to close down much less. They're just going to be chilling as far as pressing the ball high up the pitch goes, mainly because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of defensive lines in the lower leagues that we're going to come up with that are going to try and play that well from the back. They're going to look to clear it as much as possible. So rather than break the neck of the advanced forward, I'd rather they just kind of chilled out, maybe hope that a centre-back clears it long and it falls immediately to one of our midfielders and they can be open and ready for a pass back in. So shoot less often, more risky, close down much less, dribble more, get further forward and move into channels. Not 100% sure if I'm happy with this move into channels thing. I'd like to get rid of it. However, it is unfortunately not available as a part of this thing. So you can see it's already asked to do. So we may look to change him to be like, if it's not working, maybe a complete forward, maybe. Or maybe a poacher. Yeah, maybe a poacher. We'll see how we go. Most of the strikers that we have are already comfortable as an advanced forward anyway, so that's why we've gone with that one. So that's the tactic as we're going to play it going forward. Both the uneducated 4-4-2 and 4-3-3 were covered in great depth in this episode. Individual instructions, team instructions, all that stuff. I know it probably doesn't make for the most entertaining content in the world. However, we now have this episode here as a reference point for all future episodes. If you ever want to go back and look at the tactic and maybe look at things that you want me to change or think I should change, or you see things that you might want to use in your own system as well, like lower league management saves are fun as fuck. So if if either of these formations work really well, you are more than welcome to use them yourself. I know it probably doesn't make it super exciting, considering we haven't played any games yet. We probably won't in the next episode either, if I'm being honest. Next one, we might go and do a bit of a squad review. I'll introduce you to all the players and everything, and we might do a bit of a review of our preseason and see how things went there. But these episodes are still important in terms of like getting the information out there and having you guys see everything that we're doing in the series. I'm never going to beg you for likes or subscriptions, but if you do want to keep up to date as to when new episodes go up, then absolutely do those things. More than anything though, I appreciate your views, so thank you very much for watching. If you have links to your own YouTube content, be it in Football Manager or any other game, put it in the comment section below, as well as any ideas you have for series you want to see me do, any feedback, positive or negative. If you just want to tell me I'm the shittest player in the world, that's fine, do it, right in the comment section. But you better back it up and have your own videos, because I'll come at you with everything I've got, like a spider monkey. I hope you are enjoying the series so far though, I certainly am, and I'm very much looking forward to what we can achieve with this FC United squad this season. But I look forward to going through that and seeing you guys again in future episodes. Thanks again for watching.